Good evening there, everybody. What is happening? Hopefully, you all are having a wonderful day today. So, I thought that I would review this topic, and this is going to go into the Ryan Clark top 5 QB lists of all time, at least according to him. He did this, I believe, about a few days ago. Of course, his lists usually come with a bit of controversy. I think he does this for a little bit of ratings and overall to get a little bit of attention. But make no mistake about it, this top 5 list that you're about to see, he wishes that this was the actual top 5 list, but even he knows that this is not really an accurate list that he is about to come out with. But I believe that he recently came out with this because of Drew Brees' recent retirement. And so a certain amount of people ask, is Drew Brees a top 5 quarterback of all time? In my opinion, he is not. He would be a top 10 quarterback of all time, and there are some people that would not even rank him there, and I understand that. And there's a certain amount of people who would even disagree with me saying that. But we'll actually talk about Drew Brees another time. Drew Brees is actually one of my favorite quarterbacks to watch. And I think his talent actually was a bit underrated. But, it is what it is. We'll talk about that another time. But anyway. So Ryan Clark came out with his top 5 QBs of all time list, and let's just see what he had to say. And I'm going to tune in a little bit here and there too, because I'm also going to give my top 5 QBs of all time. And I'm also going to assess Ryan Clark's list. But let's get into it.
The standard here is Ryan Clark's top 5. And so, RC, without further ado, in your opinion, who are the top 5 quarterbacks of all time? As I always preface these things, I don't care about what the people say after my list because it is my list. So no, Greeny, I'm not going back to the 1940s where they wore leather helmets or the years where they just wore one bar. I'm going to talk about people I know, and at number 1, we'll start from the top.
Well, I know why you're doing that, Ryan Clark, so you can put your favorite quarterback of all time on that list, and that's Aaron Rodgers. Because even you know that if you count those quarterbacks from the beginning of the Super Bowl era onward, that Aaron Rodgers is not on a top 5 list. And even if you count it from, because you're going to see, excuse me, quarterbacks from the Joe Montana era onward, even if you go by that, you still could argue that Aaron Rodgers is not a top 5 quarterback, even during those eras. At least, of all time during those eras. Now, of course, during the 2010s, of course, obviously he was a top 5 quarterback. You can debate that he was the second best quarterback of the 2010s. Third or second, depending on where you rank Peyton Manning. But,
It's Tom Brady. Why? Because it's Tom Brady, period. Let's move on to number 2.
And I agree. You do have to have Tom Brady at number 1. I don't see another quarterback with his accomplishments. I think even when Tom Brady had the 6 rings, I think Joe Montana still possibly could have been in discussion. But now that Tom Brady, just with his consistency and the fact that he was able to win a Super Bowl with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and who knows, Tom Brady might even win more in his career. It seems, far-fetched, but you never know. That Tampa Bay Buccaneers squad with Bruce Arians as the coach, they seem extremely talented, and now they know how to win. So, we'll see what happens, man. If they're able to retain a certain amount of their players, you never know. But Tom Brady, in my opinion, has to be the number 1 quarterback of all time. Not only has he been very extremely consistent throughout his career with his statistics and his play, but he's probably been the most consistent quarterback, either him or Joe Montana, when it comes to coming up big in the big game moments. And that's very, very important. All right, because not every quarterback or not every player or not every athlete has that ability to be good under pressure.
2, we got Joe Montana. My earliest Super Bowl memories are of Joe Montana. I still remember the post route to Jerry Rice against the Denver Broncos in the Super Bowl in New Orleans. I still remember the slant route to John Terry.
And I agree. I think Joe Montana should be at the number 2 spot. There's always a lot of people, including some of my friends that I talk to, that like to disrespect Joe Montana. And he teases me because he says, remember one time you had Joe Montana above Tom Brady? Well, before Tom Brady won his 4th and 5th Super Bowl, I did have Joe Montana over Tom Brady. And if Tom Brady still had only 4 Super Bowls, I still probably would put Joe Montana over him. And it's not because I hate Tom Brady or anything like that. Tom Brady is probably my favorite quarterback to watch. Drew Brees also is another one I really like to watch. Russell Wilson, Patrick Mahomes. those quarterbacks. And of course, Aaron Rodgers is pretty phenomenal to watch too. Peyton Manning, those are pretty much the best quarterbacks of my day growing up watching football. And I might be missing one or two, but it is what it is. But anyway, Joe Montana, many people love to disregard him because he had never had a 4,000 passing yard season. So I've seen comments, I've seen videos where people try to say that he shouldn't even be a top 10 quarterback of all time, and those people really have no idea what the hell they're talking about. It would be different if Joe Montana was a little bit like a Bart Starr during his day, or if he was like a Troy Aikman, where if he would make the Pro Bowl like Troy Aikman if he only threw for like 2,500 yards. But Montana usually would throw for over 3,000 yards, make the Pro Bowl. He was a 2-time MVP winner, I believe, a multiple-time Super Bowl MVP. He had 4 Super Bowls, and even if you want to go the stats route, one thing people overall don't realize is that Joe Montana, even compared to Dan Marino, John Elway, Warren Moon, Dan Fouts, whoever you want to count, from that era, he was greater statistically, basically, than all of them. He had a greater completion percentage than them. He had a greater passer rating than them. And on top of that, he also had a greater touchdown to interception ratio. Let's keep this in mind. A 2-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio back in Joe Montana's day is like what Aaron Rodgers is doing today with his 5-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio. Basically meaning what? Almost no one else is doing it during that time. That's what that means. Now, of course, Aaron Rodgers, he pretty much revolutionized the game with his touchdown to interception ratio. Same with Joe Montana, though. Joe Montana revolutionized the game with his 2-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio. You're not going to find many quarterbacks in history before or even during that time that have a 2-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio. And that's what also made Joe Montana so special. He basically, with his touchdown to interception ratio, was the Aaron Rodgers of that day. I'm not going to say that he was as talented as Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers is debatably the most talented quarterback of all time when you talk about throwing accuracy and, arm talent in terms of, not just strength, but being able to throw the ball very accurately, making all kinds of throws. But Joe Montana was also very extremely talented, and on top of that, when it comes down to it, he was actually the most statistically significant for his day. He was statistically the best. Besides passing yards, he had every other statistic on his side compared to all those QBs. And on top of that, he won the most. All right? He won the most. So it is what it is. So you have to count Joe Montana as the second greatest quarterback of all time. No discussion in my opinion. And I have certain friends that try to put Peyton Manning above him and a certain amount of these other quarterbacks above him. You can never have Peyton Manning above Joe Montana. I don't care how many records Peyton Manning broke. Because both Joe Montana and Peyton Manning, for their days, they were statistically significant. They were statistically consistent. And when you have two players that are pretty much on the same level, at least for their day, that are statistically consistent, then the outlier is either going to be the talent or it's going to be the amount of accomplishments. And the accomplishments and the Super Bowls and the championships, the quarterback position especially, that is always going to triumph usually over all the categories. So it is what it is. So you have to put Joe Montana above Peyton Manning.
Defeat the Cincinnati Bengals, the 3 MVPs, the 4 Super Bowls, and everybody wanting to be cool like Joe. Joe made me feel like I could play quarterback with a bad body. The dude was that good. And at number 3, it started to get a little tricky, right? I was going back and forth between a couple of people. But
actually, you know what? To be honest with you, Ryan Clark, I don't think that the top 3 quarterbacks of all time are difficult. I don't think they're difficult to rank at all, but I know why you're saying that. Because you wanted to put your boy at number 3. So it is what it is. And you know damn well he's not at number 3. But let's just see who he puts at number 3.
I'm going to go with what I feel. And number 3 is Aaron Rodgers to me. I know you're going to say he doesn't have all the Super Bowls. And he doesn't have all the rings. And he doesn't necessarily always win the NFC Championship. Actually, he only wins it once. But still, Aaron Rodgers is one of the best I played. He's one of the best.
Aaron Rodgers in terms of best... When you talk about best, meaning different from great, when you talk about best, and that's even a debate, when you talk about best in terms of most talented, yeah, Aaron Rodgers is debatably the best quarterback of all time when you talk about arm talent and when you talk about talent. I don't think I've ever seen quite a thrower that has that type of accuracy making whatever throw he needs to, besides maybe Patrick Mahomes, at least during my time. So it's either between Patrick Mahomes or Aaron Rodgers when you talk about peak talent. It's either one of those two. And Aaron Rodgers might even have the slight advantage over Patrick Mahomes. Just barely. But It is what it is. And of course, I think Aaron Rodgers as of right now is greater than Patrick Mahomes, but we'll see what Patrick Mahomes does. Anyway, there's no way that Aaron Rodgers is at number 3. And this is the reason why I call Aaron Rodgers the most overrated quarterback of all time, because this is not the only analyst that ranks Aaron Rodgers like this. I've seen Stephen A. argue that Aaron Rodgers is a top 5 quarterback. I've seen Max Kelman argue that he's a top 5 quarterback. I've heard Shannon Sharp argue that he's the greatest quarterback of all time. And you would not believe how many people actually agree with them. And of course, what did the Aaron Rodgers fans say when you bring up championships and a certain amount of other things? Oh, well, he didn't have the teams. Aaron Rodgers has had multiple teams that could have made the Super Bowl. In that NFC championship against the Seattle Seahawks, they could have made the Super Bowl that year. They blew it. All right? They blew it. All right? So it is what it is. They could have won that NFC championship the second year in a row when the Seahawks made the Super Bowl. That was one of Aaron Rodgers' tickets to make it. All right? He did not perform well enough to make that Super Bowl. Now, what the Aaron Rodgers fanboys don't understand is that they'll take a look at his statistics and they'll say, well, he had a 60-some% completion percentage and he didn't have a bad touchdown and interception ratio. How can you say that he played badly? It's not necessarily that he played badly. It's just that he doesn't make his offense count like some of these other quarterbacks do. Just like in this recent NFC championship, Aaron Rodgers was favored to win that NFC championship. And of course, the excuses came a-rolling in overall once the Tampa Bay Buccaneers won the Super Bowl. But it is what it is. No, Aaron Rodgers gets no excuse from me. You know, I can't blame it all on him, just like I didn't blame it all on Patrick Mahomes. But just like people blame Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl, you have to blame Aaron Rodgers in the NFC Championship. But for some reason, out of any other quarterback, and I think it's just because of his talented ability, and also because he plays for Green Bay, because if you play for one of those big-time franchises like Green Bay that have like a great history, you're going to get off on a certain amount of accusations. Like Big Ben Roethlisberger has a certain amount of protectors for him in the media. Eli Manning does as well. A certain amount of the Cowboys quarterbacks, there's more criticizers towards them now because they've kind of rubbed a certain amount of other fan bases the wrong way. But any quarterback that seems to play for the Green Bay Packers and they seem to be a great quarterback, the criticism is that they're almost immune to criticism. And it was the same thing with Brett Favre when he was in the league. The media was so on Brett Favre's side. And it's just the same thing with Aaron Rodgers, you know. But at least Brett Favre receives criticism today. Aaron Rodgers, I've almost never heard anyone criticize Aaron Rodgers in the media. There's only 2 analysts that I see criticize Aaron Rodgers the way that he deserves to be criticized. One is Skip Bayless, and the other one is Colin Cowherd. Those are the only ones that tell the truth on Aaron Rodgers. And sometimes I think Skip Bayless, of course, gets on that haterade with certain athletes. But Aaron Rodgers is probably the most protected athlete that I've personally ever seen in my time. And I've seen LeBron James and Serena Williams. So it is what it is. And that's not me saying that they're not great at what they do. But I've never seen more excuses for an athlete the way that I've seen for either LeBron James or Aaron Rodgers. And to be quite honest with you, even LeBron James, who is highly protected in the NBA, even he has received a decent amount of criticism. Aaron Rodgers receives very rarely any criticism whatsoever. You know, it is what it is. Even this year when he was supposed to win that NFC championship, let's also not forget he lost to Eli Manning in the playoffs one time. All right, let's not forget he also lost to Colin Kaepernick in the playoffs that one time. Let's not forget he did not do very well against the 49ers last year. Let's not forget he got crushed against the Atlanta Falcons. Okay? And you just can't keep using the same excuse over and over and over that he doesn't have these elite teams. People act like Tom Brady always has the most talented roster in the NFL. There's been certain years where both Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady had similarly talented teams. But Tom Brady was able to make the Super Bowl because he comes up much bigger in the big moments than Aaron Rodgers does. Even if he has more interceptions in games. And certain people overall may not get what I'm talking about. Tom Brady makes his offense more impactful than Aaron Rodgers does. He may not have all the gaudy stats like Aaron Rodgers does overall. No, I shouldn't say gaudy stats. He may not have all as much impressive stats as Aaron Rodgers. But this is what Aaron Rodgers fanboys don't seem to understand. It's not always necessarily about how good your stat line is. Sometimes your stat line may not look as impressive as the other quarterbacks. But the most important thing is winning the game. And even if you make mistakes, the best thing that a quarterback can do is capitalizing off the other team's mistakes. And Aaron Rodgers, that is a very big problem with him. He capitalizes at times, but a lot of the times in those big moments, he does not capitalize the same in big moments. He does not capitalize a lot of the times in those big moments. And that is why he has not only just went to one Super Bowl and won one Super Bowl, he has never won any more than just one NFC championship. And that is the bottom line. Even Russell Wilson has won more NFC championships. Patrick Mahomes within this 3-year stretch has been, in my opinion, I've never seen a quarterback have quite the peak that a quarterback has had within Patrick Mahomes for first 3 years starting when it comes down to it. Even Patrick Mahomes has already made 2 Super Bowls. It is what it is. And let me tell you this, even if you were going with the top 5 quarterbacks of all time from the Joe Montana era onward, you still could debate that Aaron Rodgers is not a top 5 quarterback. And that's leaving out quarterbacks like Johnny Unitas and Rodgers Staubach and a couple of others. Because you could, first of all, Tom Brady's greater than him. There really is no discussion about that. And when it comes down to it, if you talk about a couple of other quarterbacks, Joe Montana is greater than him. There really is no discussion about that. Peyton Manning is greater than him. There really is no discussion about that. John Elway is greater than him. There really is no discussion about that. I got to shut my thing off real quick. Hold on one sec. There we go. Anyways, but when it comes down to it, John Elway is greater than him. And in my opinion, in my personal opinion, and a certain amount of people would disagree with this, I would personally put Brett Favre ahead of him. And a certain amount of people would heavily disagree with that. Now, if you were to put Aaron Rodgers above Brett Favre, I wouldn't necessarily have a problem with that. But it's debatable. People try to act like Aaron Rodgers, just because of his touchdown-interception ratio, is twice the quarterback that Brett Favre ever was. No, they both have 3 MVPs. I believe they were both first all-team pros. When it comes down to it, even Brett Favre made more Super Bowls than Aaron Rodgers. Once again, for a guy that's only won 1 NFC championship and 1 Super Bowl in his career, the way people talk about this dude, you would swear to God he's Joe Montana and has won 4 Super Bowls in his career. And let me say this once again. I'll say it again and again and again and again. Aaron Rodgers is the most overrated quarterback of all time, and there's not even a close second. And I know Bleacher Report out there says Joe Namath, and a certain amount of it. Joe Namath, was he overrated as a quarterback? Sure. But for his time, it was natural to throw more interceptions than it was touchdowns. That's what a certain amount of people overall don't understand. And that's why Rodgers Staubach for his day was so great. Because he was statistically ahead of his time. A lot of people really don't know that. Rodgers Staubach is probably the most underrated all-time great quarterback of all time. Aaron Rodgers is not only the most overrated all-time quarterback, he's the most overrated quarterback, period. To be honest with you, Aaron Rodgers might be the most overrated player in the NFL's history. I've never seen a player so undeservedly ranked in certain high spots to where he does not deserve to be. This man has been compared to the greatness of Tom Brady for a certain amount of years. Don't get me wrong, Aaron Rodgers is great, but he's not in that category. He's in the same category with Brett Favre. He's in the same category with Drew Brees. He's in the same category with Dan Marino. He's in the same category as Steve Young. Very talented quarterbacks who were very statistically consistent, but were only able to win one in their career or overall make 1 Super Bowl. That's where he is. He is not in any higher quarter. He is not in any higher tier than that. And that is the bottom line. Anyway.
We've all ever seen. He can do things with the football people only wish that they could do with a wiffle ball. He is that impressive.
And let me tell you this, because after Aaron Rodgers lost that NFC championship, I've seen a certain amount of videos where people then were starting to I shouldn't even say underrate, because they were starting to trash Aaron Rodgers to the point to where I've seen videos where people were saying that Aaron Rodgers is not a top 20 quarterback of all time. Aaron Rodgers is very clearly a top 20 quarterback of all time when you take a look at all of his accomplishments. Listen, Aaron Rodgers, in my opinion, is a top 10 quarterback of all time, but he's not top 5, and I don't even think he's debatably top 5. He maybe is debatably top 7 if you put him over Brett Favre. I don't even know if I'd put him over Brett Favre. It's really even a debate, in my opinion, if he's over Drew Brees. I would put him over Drew Brees, but when it comes down to it, it's really, it's on that line. Because when you talk about Drew Brees' accomplishments and Aaron Rodgers' accomplishments, it's both very similar. And their playoff success, it's both very similar. But anyway.
That great, the type of accuracy, the off-plane throws, the things that he's done throughout his career, and the consistency to still be this good at this age, he's my number 3. At number 4, I gotta go with the Sheriff, Peyton Manning. And yes, Peyton Manning is probably the best regular
And that's just ridiculous.
season quarterback we've ever seen.
I agree. Peyton Manning is the greatest regular season quarterback of all time, but he would a lot of the times screw it up in the big moments in the playoffs. There's a reason why I think he was 14-13 in the playoffs. There were certain times where he would go 0-1 in the playoffs, especially early on in his career. So it is what it is. But he's certainly above Aaron Rodgers. I mean, the Aaron Rodgers fanboys, they can try to sit here and argue this all they want to. Oh, his numbers look better and all that stuff. Both Peyton Manning and Aaron Rodgers are both statistically significant for the day. Let's also not forget, because a lot of the Aaron Rodgers fans, they love to bring up this bullshit point when you bring up the MVPs. Let's not forget, Peyton Manning won 1 or 2 MVPs during Aaron Rodgers' best times. So it is what it is. All right? Let's not forget, I believe he won one when he made the Super Bowl that one year. I think in the 2013-2014 season. I believe Aaron Rodgers was hurt that year. But do we really believe that Aaron Rodgers would have had the season that Peyton Manning had that year? 55 touchdowns, like 5,700 yards or something like that. I don't think it was 5,700. Maybe like, what was it, 53 to 5,500, something like that. You know, give me a break.
Has 5 MVPs. He ended up getting 2 Super Bowls, winning one late in his career.
Exactly. He won 2 Super Bowls. Not only did he win 2 Super Bowls, Ryan Clark, he made 3 more Super Bowls than your boy Aaron Rodgers. He has way more all-team first pros, and I don't even like to go by that argument all the time. He also has more Pro Bowl mentions, and on top of that, he has 2 more MVPs. Like, what's the argument? You're going to bring up his touchdown and said, listen, the touchdown to interception ratio and the statistics, that only comes into argument if the accomplishments are close. Like, you can argue Aaron Rodgers' statistical value when it comes to a Brett Favre, when it comes to a Drew Brees, when it comes to a Steve Young, when it comes to a Dan Marino, and even a Russell Wilson if you wanted to include him in that conversation. That's when, and there might be another quarterback that I'm not thinking of that might eventually be in that conversation. Patrick Mahomes in a couple years, maybe he's in that conversation with what he's already accomplished if he can continue it. But he should not be in the conversation with Peyton Manning. It's really not even a conversation. Because in terms of accomplishments, it's not even close. Once again, there's a lot of quarterbacks that have made 1 Super Bowl. It is what it is. Obviously, Aaron Rodgers isn't just any old regular quarterback. But if you're supposed to be this big a hot shit, you only make 1 Super Bowl? Once again, Drew Brees has only made 1 Super Bowl. Now, we all know Drew Brees is an all-time great. I've never heard people talk about Drew Brees the same way they talk about Aaron Rodgers. You know, now, don't get me wrong. I've heard some people argue that he deserves to be in the top 5. But people rank Drew Brees more in the correct alignment than they rank Aaron Rodgers. At least I've heard some people, like Max Kellerman and a certain amount of other guys, debate that, you know, Drew Brees is debatably a top 10 quarterback of all time, which a lot of people would argue with. But I get their point. Because you can debate that Steve Young, you know, he has very similar accomplishments to Drew Brees. You can argue that his peak was greater than Drew Brees, at least when it comes to talent. You can argue Aaron Rodgers over Drew Brees. I probably would. You can argue Dan Marino over Drew Brees. Personally, I wouldn't because Dan Marino was never able to win the big one. But it is what it is. Drew Brees has a lot of those accumulative stats when it comes down to it. But his accomplishments are pretty much the same as Steve Young. His accomplishments are pretty much the same as Aaron Rodgers and Brett Favre and a certain amount of these other guys, except he's never won an MVP and he's only made first All-Pro team once. So I understand where those things are coming in. But Aaron Rodgers, man. Aaron Rodgers is just so ranked out of proportion, it's ridiculous.
With the Denver Broncos, the dude could do it all. He can orchestrate the offense, understand what you're doing on defense, talk to Tony Dungy on the sideline, and still throw touchdowns to Dallas Clark, Marvin Harrison, and Reggie Wayne. He was absolutely phenomenal throughout his entire career. He's right here from Louisiana, buddy from the 504, Newman High School. Gotta show love to Peyton Manning. And the reason we started at number 1 and we're gonna finish at number 5, because now it's time to piss people off. Because at number 5, I don't care if it's just 4 years, it's Patty Mahomes. You heard what Drake said. Patty Mahomes.
And this is why so many people are hating on Patrick Mahomes so early on in his career, because idiots like Ryan Clark are ranking him that damn high. Once again, I think I think this is really a ploy for attention. I think he knows damn well that Patrick Mahomes is not a top 5 quarterback of all time, but in his mind, he wants to rank it like this. So it is what it is. Listen, man, this is why a lot of people are getting so pissed off at this conversation early. You had these idiots like Shannon Sharp and Ryan Clark and a certain amount of these other guys saying that if Patrick Mahomes wins the Super Bowl again this year, he'll be the greatest of all time. Like, you had Shannon Sharp saying that about Aaron Rodgers and Patrick Mahomes. Like, it's just idiocy when it comes down to it. Patrick Mahomes, in my opinion, is going to turn into an all-time great quarterback. Now, one thing that's going to be interesting about next season, it seems like the Kansas City Chiefs took away his O-line. And we're going to see how successful he is. I made a video a little bit ago, probably about a month ago, asking the question, is Patrick Mahomes overrated? In my opinion, is he overrated? Well, we have to really determine how is he ranked. Now, if you rank him like this, then obviously yes. But the majority of analysts that I see out there are not ranking him like this. The majority of analysts that I see out there do rank Aaron Rodgers debatably in the top 5. So there is no question. Aaron Rodgers, in my opinion, is not only overrated, he is the most overrated quarterback that I've ever seen. And the second most overrated quarterback that I've ever seen probably is Warren Moon. Because his statistics really, not only his statistics were not as impressive as many people try to make it out to be for the day, but on top of that, and listen, I get that he came into the league a little bit later overall, because there was that racial tension and everything like that, and he played for the CFL, so a certain amount of years probably was taken away from him. But he entered in the league at 28, and let's just say this, Warren Moon never really had any playoff success. He was 3-8 in the playoffs. His playoff success pretty much is going to be remembered as Matt Ryan's success in the playoffs and Phillip Rivers' success in the playoffs. Like, Warren Moon, in my opinion, is not a top 20 quarterback of all time, even though many people try to rank him there. Like, I've seen people try to put Warren Moon above Fran Tarkenton and Kurt Warner. No, he's not above those quarterbacks. You have to have playoff success. And he never even made an AFC championship. Like, you're trying to tell me that this dude, this dude overall is, a top 20 quarterback of all time? Nah, dog. He's not a top 20. No, he's top 25, top 30. Probably top 30, but no, he ain't top 20. He ain't on that level. So it is what it is. But anyway.
Mahomes didn't go for 100. That's what it's about. We saw Patrick Mahomes do things that people...
To be honest with you, when it comes to Warren Moon, I think I'd rather have Russell Wilson than Warren Moon.
Didn't do when he started playing this game. We saw him start to redefine the quarterback position. MVP in his first full year starting. Super Bowl MVP in his second year. And he brings his team back to the Super Bowl this year.
And let me say this. Me and my friend have a discussion about Patrick Mahomes a little bit here and there. What I'll say is this, and my friend laughs at this because, of course, he's an Aaron Rodgers fan. He's a Green Bay Packers fan, that is, and an Aaron Rodgers fan. What I say is this. I don't think I've ever seen Aaron Rodgers, even though it's close. I don't think I ever seen Aaron Rodgers, even Aaron Rodgers, because he has been very impactful in his career. I don't even think I've ever seen Aaron Rodgers quite on the peak level that Patrick Mahomes has been on this 3-year stretch. This is the greatest 3-year stretch that I've ever seen out of any quarterback. The greatest 3-year stretch that I've personally ever seen out of any quarterback. Not just in the beginning seasons. This is the greatest 3-year stretch I've ever seen out of any quarterback. MVP within his first 3 seasons. 3 AFC championships, I believe, in a row. And on top of that, 2 Super Bowls. Won a Super Bowl and won the Super Bowl MVP. I don't think there's any other quarterback that has had a 3-year start like this. It's crazy when it comes down to it. So it's whatever. But, that's basically what I say. And with Patrick Mahomes making the Super Bowl last year, right now my power rankings in terms of quarterbacks, number 1 has to be Tom Brady probably. Number 2, you could either rank Aaron Rodgers or Patrick Mahomes right now. If you ranked Aaron Rodgers ahead of him just because he won the MVP, that's understandable. But personally, I would say Patrick Mahomes because he made the Super Bowl, And the statistics were at least somewhat comparable. Now, a certain amount of Aaron Rodgers fanboys would say, well, Aaron Rodgers did better against the Chiefs than Patrick Mahomes did. That's true, but how do we know that the Packers get past the Bills or the Browns? Because those are very, very talented teams. That's why I say that's all speculation. Now, if you're the Atlanta Falcons, say years ago, and you made the Super Bowl, but you lose to the Patriots, maybe something like if you lose to the champions, then maybe you can give them a little bit of a break. But when it comes down to it, we have no idea if the Packers lose to the Bills or lose to the Browns. So it is what it is. But anyway.
here. And when he was
So we can't. What I'm saying is that we can't definitively say that the Packers would have made the Super Bowl had they been in the AFC. Is what I'm trying to say, because many people will try to argue that. But once again, if you're the Falcons years ago, say if someone tried to make the excuse, say that, well, had they been in the AFC, maybe they would have made the Super Bowl. Well, we know that that's not true because they lost to the Patriots. So it is what it is.
siege like it was Red October. He had 3 of like the greatest incompletions we had ever seen. When you listen to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers mic'd up on the sideline, the offense, all they kept saying is, do you see number 15? It's like nothing we've ever seen. And the only reason he's at number 5 and not number 1 is because Tom Brady has played 2 decades and he's just been so dang on good. But 1 through 5.
So then shouldn't you have him at number 2, bruh? Even you don't believe in this own bullshit, which I know that, but it is what it is.
That is mine. Dan Graziano about to get on here with facts. Booger's about to jump off his Peloton. And David Pollock might actually eat some rice after this, but I do not care because it's my list.
That's extraordinarily well done. RC with his top 5. I will let your fellow LSU Tiger give his thoughts first. Go ahead, Bug.
Well, first of all, I'm going to give him an A for effort. What a showman. Wow. I mean, you put together a list, and the way you said that, I was almost believing you. Great job. But listen, RC, I love you, buddy, and we have a lot of the same guys on the list. But how can you have Aaron Rodgers, the guy with 1 Super Bowl, on your list? If this is a list...
Not even just 1 Super Bowl, man. Listen, there are certain quarterbacks that won 1 Super Bowl in their career, but they made more Super Bowl appearances. Like, I can't even judge those quarterbacks that much. But 1 Super Bowl appearance? Like, even Kurt Warner had more Super Bowl appearances. And what I'm saying overall, now, once again, do I believe that Kurt Warner is greater than Aaron Rodgers? No. But listen, man, there's a lot of quarterbacks that just made 1 Super Bowl and won it. Shit, even Joe Flacco was able to make 1 Super Bowl and win it. Shit, even Eli Manning was able to make 2 Super Bowl appearances. And but what I'm saying is this. Do I believe that any of those quarterbacks are on Aaron Rodgers' level? No, of course not. But what I'm saying is this. If Aaron Rodgers is apparently Jesus walking on water, like many people try to say that he is, you can't make a 2nd Super Bowl appearance because, listen, people aren't just comparing him to Drew Brees. They're not just comparing him overall to people like that, the level that he should be ranked on. They're comparing him to Tom Brady. They're comparing him to Joe Montana. Ryan Clark just put him over Peyton Manning. So it is what it is. Those are the 3 greatest quarterbacks of all time. All right, people overall are saying that he is the greatest quarterback of all time. It'd be different if people were ranking Aaron Rodgers correctly. People are saying that he's the most impactful quarterback of all time. You cannot be the most impactful quarterback of all time. Let me say this again. You cannot ever be the most impactful quarterback of all time and win only 1 NFC championship and 1 Super Bowl in your whole entire career. That's the bottom line.
About the most talented quarterbacks to ever play the game that didn't accomplish a lot more, he might be number 1. Okay, and
I agree.
you're gonna put Patrick Mahomes on. Yes, I understand, and my job right now on this show is to break apart your list. So sit back and listen. Then you're gonna have Patrick Mahomes at number 5 on your list. I get it. We all love Patrick Mahomes, but I'll ask you this one question. If Patrick Mahomes didn't play another down, is he a Hall of Famer? I don't think so. You can't be a Hall of Famer right now, so how can you put him on your list? They didn't ask me for my list, but I'm going to give you my list just to combat your list.
And since Patrick Mahomes right now probably isn't a Hall of Famer, that would mean that, in my opinion, Eli Manning, that Eli Manning, Matt Ryan, and Phillip Rivers most likely are not Hall of Famers because, to me, those 3 quarterbacks are someone in the same league. So, it is what it is. Because I was actually doing a recent video on those guys.
Number 1, Tom Brady. Number 2, Joe Montana. Number 3, Peyton Manning. Then I'm going Johnny Unitas.
Do you spend more on groceries, transportation, or entertainment?
If you don't know about him, Google him. You can check him out. And then last but not least, I'm going John Elway. So
I agree. I pretty much agree with that list. So he ranked Tom Brady, Joe Montana, Peyton Manning, Johnny Unitas, and John Elway. I have no problem with that list at all. My list looks very similar. My top 5 quarterbacks of all time. Number 1, I would have Tom Brady. Number 2, Joe Montana. Number 3, Peyton Manning. Number 4 to number 6 to me is very fluid. So whoever you put there is whoever you put there. But to me, it's between these three guys. It's between John Elway, who I probably would put at number 4, John Unitas, and Roger Staubach. Whoever you put in whichever order is up to you. But it's one of those three quarterbacks next. Excuse me.
I realize I'm a little older than you, so go back and Google some of these guys like Elway and Johnny Unitas. Greedy is right up our category, and then you can be.
You are old enough to know Elway. I was not even around during Elway's time, and I know that he's greater than both Aaron Rodgers and Patrick Mahomes. Like, that's just ridiculous.
A little bit more respectful when it comes to the history of the game that has provided all that Lululemon wear for you. Okay? Understand that.
Yes, right. The man has made a very nice career with Lululemons. David Pollack, go ahead.
Exactly.
I love these. I love these things because they are your own, and you can do that. And I completely agree with.
You can have your own list, but you really lose a lot of credibility when you rank things this way because Ryan Clark, listen, and I'm saying this again, he is doing this for a ploy for attention, but he does want to rank things this way because he is a big fan of both Patrick Mahomes and Aaron Rodgers. He's also a big fan of Warren Moon. And what a shocker, both Aaron Rodgers and Warren Moon, two of the most overrated quarterbacks of all time. Not saying that they're not great, and obviously Aaron Rodgers is greater than a Warren Moon because he's actually had playoff success, but when it comes down to it, is Aaron Rodgers overrated, massively overrated even? Yes. No question about it.
Ryan Clark, I'd have Aaron Rodgers in my top 5 as well because you know what? Here's the thing that's subjective about these. Tom Brady.
It depends on what you're going by. It depends on if you're going ever since Joe Montana, ever since he has played. Yeah, you could debate that Aaron Rodgers overall is the top 5 quarterback ever since that time. You also could debate that he's still not because you could debate Brett Favre over him. So it is what it is. But if you're debating all time, especially from the Super Bowl era onward, no. He's not a top 5 quarterback of all time.
He's got all these rings. He's the GOAT. He deserves to be up there. How many championships would Peyton Manning or Drew Brees or Aaron Rodgers have with Bill Belichick and the Patriots? He had the best defense of all time.
That's such a stupid fucking excuse. That's the same excuse the LeBron James fans use against Michael Jordan. How many rings would LeBron James have with Phil Jackson? Like, dude, please. Please tell me how many rings Bill Belichick has as a head coach without Tom Brady. Now tell me how many rings Tom Brady has without Bill Belichick. He has 1. All right? Like please. Come on when it comes down to it. But no one ever brings up that Aaron Rodgers has never won a ring without, what the fuck is his name? Mike McCarthy. Did Aaron Rodgers just win a ring because of Mike McCarthy? Mike McCarthy used to be a big coach. Tell you what, Aaron Rodgers has never even made a Super Bowl without Mike McCarthy. Am I stupid enough to bring that up? Like, come on, man.
During those eras. Like, it's all subjective. Drew Brees being up on this list and being talked about. He's got one of the greatest offensive coaches of all time with him, who's played with horrible defenses throughout his career.
And that's why Drew Brees, in my opinion, is in the debate with Aaron Rodgers, because for Drew Brees really being on a team, the Saints that is, that really have not had a great amount of success in their history, Drew Brees and Aaron Rodgers, I believe, have around at least the same winning percentage, and Drew Brees on average had worse defenses. I told that to one of my friends who's a Green Bay Packers fan. He's like, oh, that's not true. It's absolutely true. And Colin Cowherd, who feels the same way I do about Aaron Rodgers. Now, I would still probably put Aaron Rodgers over Drew Brees, but when it comes down to it, Drew Brees, with what he usually was dealt with, he pretty much has had the same amount of success as Aaron Rodgers, and unfortunately, he didn't really get the Super Bowl contending team until really those last 3-4 years in his career. And really only 2 of those years, he was really a very great quarterback. The other 2, he kind of fell off. So it is what it is.
Put Aaron Rodgers up there. The only difference is I also have Elway in my top 5. I don't think there's any way you leave out a guy like that could run the...
I agree. Now, if you're saying that Aaron Rodgers is at number 5 and debatably in the top 5, I don't have a problem with that. At least ever since the Super Bowl era. Or excuse me, not ever since the Super Bowl era. Ever since Joe Montana was playing. Then I don't have a problem with that. Because you can debate Aaron Rodgers over Brett Favre. And that's why I say at the absolute highest, Aaron Rodgers is number 7 on an all-time great QB list. But when it comes down to the overall of all time, no, he's not on this list.
Football, make plays, be dynamic. I know it was a different game and it's an easier game now, but those are the 2 differences for me. But Boog,
Not because Aaron Rodgers hasn't been successful in those big moments. It's also a team game, and you need the team to win. And
Aaron Rodgers has had the team to win a multitude of times. Let's not use that bullshit excuse. Once again, did he not have a chance against Eli Manning and the Giants that one year that he failed to beat them? Did he not have a chance this year to win the NFC Championship? Did he not have a multitude of chances, to win the NFC Championship against the Seahawks that many years ago? Like, come on. We can't always be sitting here making these excuses. We can sit here and make all these excuses for any quarterback that we want to. Well, if Phillip Rivers would have had more help, I think he'd be the one with 2 Super Bowls instead of Ben Roethlisberger. Because, quiet as kept, Ben Roethlisberger in certain years, he's really underwhelmed with the talent that he has had. And Ben Roethlisberger, he used to have the most talented offense in the league, either him or Matt Ryan, when it comes down to it. But I can sit here and allege people only do this with their favorite players. They don't really do this with everybody. They only do it with their favorite players. So it is what it is. But you notice they never do it with Tom Brady if Tom Brady, doesn't make the Super Bowl. They never said that about Tom Brady versus Peyton Manning. Well, Peyton Manning has the better teams. That's why Tom Brady, isn't making the play, or, he's not making the Super Bowl. They never argue that. It is what it is.
Brady's been the beneficiary of having the greatest team and the greatest coach of all time, so that's what puts him all the way.
No, he's not had the beneficiary of having the greatest team. In fact, really, when we take a look at it, how many times can we really argue in the Super Bowl that the Patriots had the more talented team? Were the Patriots more talented than the Atlanta Falcons? No, they weren't. Were they more talented than the Philadelphia Eagles when the Philadelphia Eagles beat them? No, they weren't. Now, you still have to blame Tom Brady a little bit for that one, even though he didn't have a bad game, because losing is losing. You still have to blame the quarterback a little bit. Were they more talented than the greatest show on turf? The LA Rams, or not the LA Rams at the time, excuse me. I believe they were the St. Louis Rams at the time with Kurt Warner and a couple of other guys. God, who is that running back? I can't remember his name. That's going to bother me. I can't remember that dude's name. Anyway, were they more talented than the Patriots? Absolutely. Were the Seattle Seahawks more talented than the Patriots? That one year they made the Super Bowl in the 2014-2015 season? You bet your ass they were. Were the LA Rams more talented when they faced off in the Super Bowl a couple years ago? You're damn right they were. The majority of the time, actually, in the Super Bowl, Tom Brady, you can argue, actually has had the disadvantage. Now, maybe in the Chiefs Super Bowl, you could argue that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers were the more talented team. Against the Panthers, you can argue it. The first time they faced off against the Eagles, really, I don't know enough about that Super Bowl, so I'm not going to comment on it. And I'm trying to think of what else. The Giants, maybe you can argue that they had a more talented team, especially the first time around, but that defense was phenomenal. So let's just not sit here and act like, has Tom Brady sometimes had the better teams? Sure. Has he sometimes had the best roster in the league? Sure. But there's been certain times where Tom Brady still won it where he did not have the most talented roster in the league. That's such an Aaron Rodgers fanboy excuse.
Topping some of the other guys,
That's basically what a lot of people say about Patrick Mahomes and Tom Brady. All this shit is coming from the Aaron Rodgers fanboys. I know it is, because they all make the same bullshit excuses. Well, if you give Aaron Rodgers or Drew Brees these teams, they would also be as successful. No, they wouldn't be. People are trying to act the same about Patrick Mahomes. People trying to act like Patrick Mahomes would be a nothing quarterback if he was on another team. I understand that he has Travis Kelce. I understand that he has Tyreek Hill. Take a look at what Alex Smith did with those guys. He did nothing with them. And, of course, Alex Smith overall is not, that great of a quarterback. What they're probably saying is that Drew Brees and all these other guys, would do better. Well, how do we know that? Even Drew Brees, when he was at his best, when he had Michael Thomas and some of these other guys, he certainly didn't seem to do a great amount with them. Now, in my opinion, he wasn't really the same quarterback that he used to be within the past couple of years. But when it comes down to it, you certainly could argue that he should have did more. Aaron Rodgers, debatably, I'm not going to say that they're more talented than the Buccaneers, but they weren't too far apart. And Aaron Rodgers didn't win the NFC Championship. Aaron Rodgers was favored to win that NFC Championship, and he failed. So it is what it is. No, not just any quarterback would be super successful on that franchise. Would they maybe make the playoffs? Yeah, sure, they'd make the playoffs, but would they make the Super Bowl and win the Super Bowl like Patrick Mahomes was able to? No, they wouldn't. It is what it is.
Go ahead, Graziano. I just like the Booger's cranky about the Lululemon thing, and it's affected the entire hour. I mean, get the man some Lululemon. Like, it's important. Like,
I can't fit it, Dan.
They don't make
Dan,
triple X.
if you haven't realized this by now, I can't fit it.
They've got to be able to do something. We got to be able to work this out somehow. But look, I think RC's list is great. I love that Mahomes is on there. I think it's fantastic. Joe Montana wasn't on anyone's list yesterday. I'm sitting here off camera watching the list come in. Where is Joe Montana? What happened that this guy gets forgotten about? So kudos to RC for that. I would love to find a spot on there for Marino, who Tannenbaum brought up yesterday.
Well, Marino's not in the top 5, and to be honest with you, since he never won the big one, he's probably no longer in the top 10, and a certain amount of people would disagree with that. It depends on where you put him. You could possibly debate him over Aaron Rodgers. You could possibly debate him over Drew Brees. You possibly could debate him over Steve Young. And was there another quarterback in there? I don't think there was. I think I named all the 4 that were in there. Aaron Rodgers, Drew Brees, Steve Young, and Brett Favre. Brett Favre, that's who I forgot. You can maybe debate him over those guys, but personally, would I? No.
Maybe he's instead of Rodgers, but I like the list.
And I will simply end it by saying this, and I think I speak
Dan.
for all of us, when I say if anyone has seen what
I know that
Lululemons
matters
look
to you.
like and how they fit, I think we are all grateful that Booger McFarland doesn't have any. Okay, let's go on. We got winners and losers.
Anyways, that's really about it for this. So I thought that it was an absolutely terrible list by Ryan Clark, but I don't know what anyone else was expecting from him. So it is what it is. But once again, like I said, man, the top 5 quarterbacks of all time, the first 3 are very easy to rank. Number 1 is Tom Brady. Number 2 is Joe Montana. Having a brain fart there. And then number 3 is Peyton Manning. Then after that, 4 to 6, very debatable. John Elway, Johnny Unitas, and Roger Staubach in my book. And whichever order that you put them in, I have no problem with. But it's those quarterbacks next. Brett Favre is now within the top 6. Aaron Rodgers is now within the top 6. Drew Brees is now within the top 6. Steve Young is now within the top 6. Dan Marino is now within the top 6. Patrick Mahomes, certainly is now within the top 6 right now. Patrick Mahomes probably is now within the top 20. So we'll have to see what happens. I might do a video actually where one day I rank my top 20 quarterbacks of all time or top 30. And I'm really going to have to do some research to do that because there's a lot of candidates. But anyway, that's really about it for today. Thank you so much for watching. I'll talk to y'all later.